All right. Hello, welcome back. This is Aluminum Tarot. Thanks so much for joining as always. I hope you had a lovely holiday time, for Easter and I guess whatever you celebrate. But yeah, it was a good time for me to just get kind of rested up, visit some friends, and go for a nice long motorbike ride throughout the country. So very happy about that. Feeling great and feeling a bit more recharged and rejuvenated because I think the last few readings I felt a little bit drained of energy. So I'm just going to try to keep myself a bit more focused and get a bit more on point when it comes to the readings that I like to give. So that said, we're going to be doing this for the sign of Cancer, Sun, Moon, Rising, for April 2026. And we're just going to see what's going to take place for this month, generally speaking, and go into some of the energies that have surfaced for this reading. I've already shuffled the cards. We're going to go ahead and just jump straight into it. And as always, if you like what you see here, please be sure to give a like, share, subscribe, ding the notification bell so you don't miss any updates from future postings. And that's it. Let's dig right in. So, the first card we have here, I'm using the Murder of Crows Tarot. I'm switching things up because it was the first deck that was nearby me. So, we have the Murder of Crows Tarot. This is the Knight of Swords in the reverse. Even though these cards are a bit more gory and a bit more graphic, I guess morbid if you want to say it, or moribund, it's better than the nudity that gets censored on YouTube because YouTube likes to pick and choose its own battles in whatever way possible, which doesn't really work to the benefit of most tarot readers. Okay, clarify the King of Swords in the reverse. So we also have it's the Knight of Swords in the reverse. Clarifying the Knight of Swords in the reverse is the Knight of Wands in the reverse. So what we have here, in the recent past, what you had to deal with is a situation where all communication and all action and activity was silenced, switched off completely. And what you find yourself in is a situation where there's absolutely no movement. I'm giving in my mind the Charity in the reversed. But what it seems to me is that much of what's going on right here is a complete inactivity to move forward with something. Clarifying what this reading is about, we have two cards here. We have the Strength card, and then we also have the Justice in the reverse. So it can be about trying to be strong through a situation that feels very unfair or very imbalanced. It could also be about feeling strong in a period in which you're going through a divorce. And so in saying and doing that, what you're dealing with right now is, waiting for the right and opportune moment for you to actually strike out on your own and to bring all of this to a conclusion. And this can be the trickiest bit that we find about a lot of these types of situations, especially when legal matters are concerned. So whatever legal matters you are dealing with, you're trying to really just hold out and make sure that you're doing everything right and by the process, so that way you don't make any mistakes that could cost you the case or potentially cost you your livelihood. So because of this whole situation in the recent past, you were at a point where you couldn't communicate with anyone, you could not take action against, towards someone, and this has probably been in your best interest. The reason why I'm saying that is because of the legal affairs of this. I'll clarify one more time. Yeah, I was just talking about it. And so in this, we have the World card. Of course, there is a little bit of nudity in that one. Fair enough. Because things were not wrapped up and concluded at that particular period, there had to be a period of pause and inactivity. That was just what I was saying. And then the World, of course, popped out. And this is in the reverse. The thing has been left unsaid, unfinished, and therefore you are now just waiting for the cycle to come to a complete stop and conclusion, to wrap things up so that you can finish it out all together. Now, moving on to that, you do have now the current energy, which is the Eight of Cups. So throughout the month of April, what you'll do is likely move away from whatever it is that has been plaguing you, getting this process off the ground, and you'll finally be able to separate from the thing that is holding you in this binding agreement. So, and the reason why the Empress is clarifying that you're moving towards things that will help you to expand, that will help you to manifest and materialize this thing that you're trying to do. Say, for example, when you're in a contract and you're worried about, the outcome of this contract or what's going to have to wrap up in order for you to extricate yourself or get out of this job, out of this position, because you're obliged to, see something, to the very end. And that could, in turn, put you in a bit of a binding situation. If you're in a marriage, same thing applies to that. You would find yourself in a predicament in which you're unable to leave the marriage completely, but you're unable to move on to the next person that you like. And in doing so, it makes it very difficult. It makes it very difficult and challenging for you to be able to move forward, breathe a sigh of relief, and carry on with the rest of your life. There are things that you want to do, opportunities you want to take advantage of, and it's harder for you to do that until you can walk away from the past, which has kept you in that stagnant kind of charity in the reverse type energy. What is it that Cancer wants to? Yeah. So we have here a king of we have a king of cups. So this could be someone's, potentially Scorpio, Cancer, Pisces, type of person who's very emotional and mature and sound, someone that you do want to expand and develop and grow with, that you may be, more keen to move forward to. But you're unable to do this because in your current circumstance, perhaps the court or the judges say that, you have to be in a period of separation for this amount of time before you can move on and do something else. Or you may need to work on, finalizing the paperwork and having that processed and going through the whole court case so that new issues don't crop up that could jeopardize your case. So in saying that, you move forward to the near future. I'm going to clarify this. Okay. So we have the hangman. It is on its side. So that means that you're ushering in a new period revolving around these energies. And clarifying that is the Nine of Swords in the reverse, meaning that you're finally coming out of this period of difficulty, heartbreak, of pain and suffering. Oftentimes things, have come to nearly a cumulative head, and you're finally getting to the point where you're saying, okay, I am almost out of this. I see the home stretch, and I'm nearly at the finish line. Clarify one more time. So the star also came out on its side, and clarifying the hangman, what that tells me is that you see the hope, you see the light at the end of the tunnel, which is what I just said, and you're finally out of this heartbreak situation. So the Three of Swords wanted to rear its head, and I'm just going to pull that one out and let that join into the near future one. So with all of this taking place, you have two major arcana and two minor arcana. So with these major arcana, this means that this is going to be a big development that takes place in your life that will allow you to finally move forward. They're in the process of taking place, of coming into the light. So the hangman, and then with the star, I believe that both of these, well, they're on their side, so I'll just leave it as that. It's almost like I can see the dawn of a new horizon, coming into fruition, coming into shape. And this is going to be the thing that's going to help you to, again, feel confident that whatever it is that you're trying to move away from and towards, this is going to allow you to finally have the hope to keep pushing forward to make this a success. And I see that there are some issues of success coming forth in your near future. And once this happens, you'll have lots of options available to you. That is the Seven of Cups. And this is clarified by the Four of Wands and the Nine of Wands. So 4 plus 9 is 13. 13 is 1 plus 3, that equals 4. So coming back to a transformative period in which you can then improve your home life, make yourself feel a lot better because you have finally moved away from the thing that was stifling your ability to, to create this for yourself. And it can be really tricky, especially when you're in a relationship and it feels like, the person that you're with is just kind of a bit of a wet blanket. They can be controlling. They can say, you can't do this, or they can say, if you do this, I won't do this. If you go out and date, I will never sign those papers for you to get divorced. I'll cut off your money and you'll be poor. You'll be on the streets and stuff like that. Doing things in the back alley, to make a living, which hopefully that never happens. But as we say, like with all of this is a very promising, set of cards here. It shows that there is progress made, and also that there is a way out of the dark and bleak situation that you have been in for quite some time. Again, when you have the Strength card, which is the card number 8, that's the card of the self, and additionally you have the Justice card in the reverse. It's a trying, testing time in which you are dealing with legal affairs that can only finalize by working yourself through the process until you get to the very end with that World card. And if you are fancying someone, that could be that King of Cups, whether that's their sign, whether they are a water sign or not, then it can be important. It's very important to you to actually do things correctly. So that way, when you are free from this relationship and these legal obligations, you can then carry yourself into a new light and a new stage of your life where you can come back to this person and say to them, okay, here's the whole story. I couldn't disclose it before because of the stipulations within my marriage, or within the stipulations of my contract with my work. And here's the full thing that I can disclose to you now. Okay. So, Oracle card messages we have here. We have the dream of co-creation, and this is all about manifesting and divine partnership, frequency alignment. So again, as we were talking about it, we say that in order for this to manifest properly with this King of Cups, you are in the process of fully extricating yourself from your past relationship, and then finally expanding and growing yourself, getting yourself back into your element, and then later on connecting with this person, because I see the Empress and the King of Cups here. So it's a male-female relationship, or masculine and feminine relationship. And that's a very complementary card here. The Empress, rules Libra and Taurus. And then, of course, we already talked about the King of Cups. Now, with the two of those coming together, they can move mountains, especially on the emotional front, and have a very fulfilling relationship. So that said, the second Oracle card that we have here is a way out of the weeds. And this is all about a clear way out, multitasking, and getting organized. Again, exactly what we were just talking about in the case that you are trying to find a way out of a difficult situation that you can't see the out, at the current moment in time. It's skewed. However, you do have the Hangman and the Star on the side. If they go into the upright, the Star comes out, and then you can finally guide your way to the right place in which you are going to find guidance that you need to fully come out of this situation. You could also be in a situation where you are gaining a better perspective on things. You are working really hard to understand everything that has taken place and finally get yourself to a point where you can tell yourself, I understand what I need to do. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to make this a success. So that is going to be it for your reading. Thank you very much for joining me today, Cancer. This is your reading for April 2026. And again, hope you had a happy holiday. And thank you so very much. Till next time, love and light. Bye now.